Welcome gamers to the start of a new, actually it's not going to be a Let's Play series, it's going to be a one-off video. Welcome to this one-off video about Warhammer 40,000 Battlesector. Warhammer 40,000 Battlesector is sort of, like, it's probably the most beautiful Warhammer 40,000 game out there. Like, it looks exceptional. The modelling is fantastic. The modelling is actually based on the actual models that, you know, sort of are sold by Games Workshop. And also the voice acting is great in the game. There's a lot to like about the game. There's a lot of big ticks. The game mechanics are really, really exceptional. But there's also a lot of problems with the game, and I sort of want to focus on both. I want this video to be fair. Like, if you're like me, and you really like your random content, your procedural generation with your maps and so on and so forth, this game it sounds exciting because we've now got a new campaign. We've got Planetary Supremacy to play, which is like hailed as a procedurally generated campaign. The reality, though, is that it's not really there. It's sort of... yeah, technically it's procedurally generated, technically, but it's really boring, and it's got big problems. I'll go through what they are, but I want this to be a fair representation of the actual game, because the game itself, as I say, has got so many things that are positive about it, and it's a shame because I've really been focused. The thing that I was really disappointed with when the game actually launched, and I mentioned this in the videos that I did when the game did launch, was the lack of procedural content, the lack of procedural generation. It didn't actually have it. And so when I heard that the Planetary Supremacy was coming for the game and that this was going to be the procedural content for it, it was like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. You know, we've got great mechanics, we've got great modeling, great voice acting, and now we're going to have a random content. You know, is this going to be the Gladius killer? Is this going to sort of replace Gladius as the best of the Warhammer 40,000 strategy games? And I can sort of pretty clearly say no, it's not, in my opinion anyway. So from my perspective, with what I like about the gaming, it doesn't hit that mark yet, but it's sort of, you can sort of see that it could, and without a real lot of effort, I think, as well. I mean, still effort, of course, is going to have to be effort, but it looks quite lazy the way that this Planetary Supremacy has been put together. It looks like almost an afterthought, and the reason I'm sort of saying that, and it may be overly scathing about the actual game itself, is because I think that the game really does shine in multiplayer. Now, I've never played it in multiplayer, but I'm assuming that this is why the game is popular, is because people like playing it in multiplayer. I can see the mechanics working very well in multiplayer. But single player, the campaign, like this is a scripted campaign, the Age of Crimson Dawn, where you're just literally playing as the Space Marines, the Blood Angels in this instance. And so the Age of Crimson Dawn was what was sort of added into the game at that particular point. And so this is fully scripted. There's no random content in there at all, and that's why I didn't cover it, because it's like it would just be doing a walkthrough. The skirmish mode, again, you've just got preset maps. These are fairly interesting maps, though. Again, they've sort of been set up, you know, where you're basically, you know, sort of fighting against the Tyranids, and so the skirmish mode is interesting with them. But the maps are still handcrafted, and so then when I thought, okay, well, Planetary Supremacy has got a lot of random content with it, but it also then is supposed to have sort of like random maps that you actually then go and play on. And so for me, this was super exciting. So let's just go and I'll show you where I am. I started recording, and I've recorded about 4 episodes. I'm not going to be putting them up because in the end I sort of thought, no, I really can't. I don't like the game enough to justify sort of putting a series up about it, so I'll just do a single video, because I do think that the game has got a lot of promise. I just don't think that it is even close to being where it needs to be if you are waiting for the Planetary Supremacy aspect of it. By the way, this is going to be a free add-on. You don't have to have the NECRON DLC to actually access this. This is my understanding of how this one actually does work. So, by all means, have a bit of a look at yourself. You know, if you don't, and the Necrons, I've got to say, look, they look fantastic. Like as a DLC add-on, I'm thinking if you play the game multiplayer, you're going to absolutely love it. So, you know, I think that this is actually a very great addition for the multiplayer aspect of the game. Anyway, let's just open up the where I currently am with this particular game. Okay, so this is the campaign game that I actually have. So I started off down in here. This is my base. I'll just close that one through there. So that's like a Necron base. And then there's various hexes around here that give you different sorts of benefits. Like, for example, I've claimed this one, this one, this one, and I can basically go anywhere. I can't go, for example, and jump from there to there. Like it's, I can't claim that because there's no land bridge to that one, so I can't get to there. So in basic terms, this actually is fine. Like this looks very, very good. It's quite exciting. We've got two enemies. We've got an enemy back over here, the Tyranids. Which so yeah, connected to base. Yes, it is their base. That is actually where they are. And we have the Space Marines back over through here, the Blood Angels. So connected to a base. Yes. Now I thought I'd actually sort of bring it to this one because you can see that I've taken over 1, 2, 3 different areas. Our army, you can see down through there, we've got 2,130 points out of 2,300 points. And you can see that these guys are only stuck on 1,500 points. And this one here has only got 210 out of 1,500 points. So they've actually got like a lot of points for their army that they could be doing. So the first big problem, and I'm playing on just normal mode, so it's I'm not playing on hard mode where these may have any sort of advantage. They've been attacking, just trying to take over, like I think this one here where you've got like 200 army points. If they could get that one, they'd get to 1,700 army points, as an example. If they could take that one, that's another 200, and that would if they had 1,700, that would take it to 1,900. You can see over with mine, for example, I've got this one over through here, which is giving me, hang on, I'll just close that. That one there did give me 200. It's not showing me what that actually was. This one I think gave me 100 in through there. And then so you've got these basic ones like, 100 army points back and through this side. Now the 100 army points options are the weakest. So anything that sort of like has just got the small little area in through there is going to be small. When you've got the double ones in there, you're looking at 200. So that'll be a 200, that'll be a 100. Close that one off, that'll be 200. And so you sort of see these different things. Now, there's also other aspects to this where there's different resources. So you can see there's a resource there which I've claimed, resource over here, resource there and there, I think. Yeah, resource unknown back and through that side. And so we've got a resource right next to this. And so I thought we'd actually sort of play against this one. We'll just have a bit of a look. And so I've got one resource in through this side. And so the owner is the Necrons, connected to the base, yes, because we do actually have the connection through. The resource is a Voxcaster relay, and the bonus it gives us is plus 500 army points. And so by getting these, I've now got up to 2,300 army points that I can then now sort of use with my actual army. And so I'll just go through the way the mechanics actually work. So in terms of simple mechanics, a nice little sort of quick way of sort of playing a campaign, yep, big tick, not a problem at all. It actually looks fairly interesting, fairly exciting. So the choices I actually have through here, for example, are, what I'm going to sort of then do next. Now, unfortunately, these guys have been knocking them, been butting up against a brick wall every time they try to do anything. They haven't been able to take any of the areas around them. Now, that's a big issue because it means that I've just been able to grow. I've only got 3, but that's a massive change, massive advantage. And so there's no real balance between the strength that you have and the challenge that you have. As soon as you start to get an advantage, you steamroll. It's much easier to get one of these 1s rather than the 2s, and it's much easier to get the 2 than it is to get a resource. The other big problem with the game, and you'll see this when we actually go in, because I think I'll take this resource here, and so we'll actually claim that, so you can just sort of see like a resource battle. So this will be a much more complex battle than, for example, going after this one here or this one here, or even this one over this side. If I go and take that, what would it be interesting if these guys also then started to have their different areas, and so we then actually had more combat going on in the middle of the actual map itself, but they're just not prevalent there. It's like the game hasn't been balanced in that sort of sense, it's like no one sort of flagged it and say, oh, by the way, when you play the campaign, the AI can't break out of its home system. Now, I'm playing on normal mode, so it should be this should be the standard. This should be sort of how the game does perform. Like I would expect maybe 1 out of every, maybe 1 out of 3 as a failure, just on average, but not 3 out of 3. Like, you know, that's at the moment they haven't even been able to get one single hex, which is not great. You know, like I've just been able to sort of rattle through, and I'm just trying to go after the Tyranids just to sort of see what that actually looks like in through this side as well. The other big problem is that the actual randomization, and you'll see this actually when we go in here. Let's just start this one in through this side. What we get to see is like, and so there's so much to like about where it could go, and so much to dislike about where it actually is. When we have a look at this one here, you can sort of see that there's like little huts around this particular area. Now this means that this is going to be the terrain that we go into. This is going to be like a base that we're going to then sort of be tackling. This one over here has got the same sort of terrain, this base terrain. Other ones have got, you know, sort of, this is like almost like grasslands type area. We've got rocks, we've got deserts. This was like a desert area. And so the terrain itself is absolutely beautiful. It looks fantastic. It's just the way that the maps are done. It's a very basic way of actually building a random map. So let's just go and click on this one and we'll claim this territory. Now remember, this is going to be the most complex of the types of battles because we're going after a resource. So we'll claim that one. Oh, hang on, before I do that one, I can actually cancel this. I haven't spent all my money. I'll just go through and actually build up my army to maximum. So just cancel that one. I'll just talk a little bit more about the mechanics. Down through here, actually this may have to go to a couple of episodes, I won't finish off everything, but I'll just sort of show you how the thing does actually work. So this is what we have. We've got like 2 action points in the campaign mode. I can spend the action points by either moving. So if I moved into there and sort of did okay, I could then sort of bounce across straight into there. Or I can go through and reinforce my units. So you can sort of see through there, we've got like victory engrams into here, just which are the ones that we sort of picked up over this side to then sort of give us the extra army points. So we've got that's the Voxcaster relay in through that side. So we'll just go to reinforce, and this way you can at least sort of see this aspect of the game as well. So when we're back in here, we've got 2 different ways we can build up. Now we've got 17 of 20. We've got 2130 in through this side. So I've got, 170 units that I can bring in. I've got 17 of 20 units in this side. You can see that I've got like a few different units down in through here as well, like a whole lot of different sorts of Necron units. So there's a lot to like about the Necrons. The Necrons do come in with a lot of stuff. So if we've got 170 points left over that we can pick up, I can either go and get a unit, like for example, if I click on this unit here, this one's going to cost me 95. So if I got that one, that would then sort of leave me with 75 left over after if I got this particular Triarch Praetorian. If I got myself one of these units, for example, these are only 70 points, so I could still only get 2 of them. I couldn't get 3 of those. Within what we actually have left over. So we can't. So what I may decide to do is, okay, well, let's go and grab one of those, or this one's on a cooldown. I can't, for example, grab one of these Plasmancers just yet. These are 225 points anyway, so that would be too expensive for me. I wouldn't be able to run it in the actual battle itself, but I could ditch some of the other units. And these require requisitions. So they've got a requisition to get those. There are a few units, for example, just like the old warriors, the Necron warriors, which are fairly basic. These only cost 55 points. And these actually have, these ones don't cost requisition. So if you're struggling in the game, and it's probably better to have actual units filled up than it is to actually have like high power units. You want to have a fair few low level units. So the warriors we get without requisitions. The flayed ones are for 70 points, and they also don't require requisitions. And similarly with the Canoptek Scarab Swarms, also don't require any sort of requisition. So if you are struggling, and I've got like full requisition, I've been able to sort of because my army is now so much more powerful than anything else in the game, I really just steamroll through. So I think what we might do is I haven't got any of the Praetorians, but I actually really like these Lich Guards. I've got a few of them already. I've already got 3 of them, but I'm finding that they really do a massively good job. But then so do these. Like these little cheap ones are actually fairly good. Now they're 125. That would actually then take up nearly all the the points. I wouldn't be able to do anything if I did get that one. What's this other one? This is 125, 125. This one's 100 points. If I got another death mark, these are like snipers. This is the big tick of the game. This is really where the game just absolutely excels. It is beautiful what they've actually done with the game. It really is great. It's just the actual strategic implementation is not good. Down through here, I can't actually get this one. This one's on cooldown with the Annihilation Barge. These 120, the Tomb Blades. Now, I've already got one Tomb Blade there. I can get myself a second one for 120. Now, that's going to then give me nice. I would still like to get more of these. I might just look. I'll grab a Praetorian. Why not? So let's go and use that one for one requisition. So we've got a Praetorian has now been added into the mix. Where's that one? There it is, right there. And then we'll just go back and we can get as many of the flayed ones as we like. So let's just go and add that one to the army. So that's going to then get us up to the like 5 points off. So 2295. That'll do. So we've now got 4 of the flayed ones. Plus a Praetorian. Okay, done. So we'll save our army. That's used up one of the action points back and through this side. And so now we can start to move. So let's go after this particular unit here. And this looks, when I go in, you'll be sort of impressed when you first start it. But I'll explain why this is not great. Let's just go in and we'll claim this territory. And so you can see there we've got like 2295 army points against the Adepta Sororitas. Now the Adepta Sororitas is essentially the Warhammer 40,000 equivalent of the Sisters of Sigmar. And so they actually came into the game as a DLC. Was it free DLC? I can't remember actually. About nearly a year ago, actually. I think it was a bit less than a year ago that these actually came into the game. The big problem with this is that all of the unclaimed territory is defended by the Adepta Sororitas. Okay, you're thinking, okay, well, why is that a big deal? Because it gets boring. Basically, they've got 3 units that they can bring out. Now, sure, they can actually change their equipment around a little bit, but the Adepta Sororitas, essentially, you've got your Battle Sisters, which are your basic unit. You've got your Seraphims, which are your flying sort of jump combat units, and then you've got your leadership. I forget what they're called, the Sister something or other. Anyway, Sister Superior, I think is what they're called. So you've only got like 3 units that you're actually then fighting against, but they're quite a good fight. Like they actually put up a good fight, but it's just boring because it's the same fight over and over and over. And I'll show you why. If we just go across and proceed into this one. And so here we are with the actual the location. Look, what I'll do is I'm just going to pause the game and I'll then shuffle things around and just go in for the actual fight. It's there's not like this will still be a complicated fight. It's just that we want to try to get through this without any real losses, because the losses we have to then go and replace. Okay, I'll explain why I've laid everyone out when we get started, and I'll explain the units as well. All right, so we just saw a ripple go through all of these guys because they're near the this guy here, the Overlord. So that's the Overlord in through there, and he has got like essentially a different way of having command. Like he's got the command protocol. So toggle between 2 different command protocols. And so these do cost an action point to run between them. Protocol for passing seasons, +1 movement, and +1 ranged armor. So if he's within 2 of, if people are within 2 of him, they're going to then pick that one up. I don't know if we're throw it in through here. So protocol of passing seasons. So +1 movement, +1 ranged armor. So they get extra movement just by being near the Overlord. And that's actually pretty cool. I think that one, yeah, that one gets it as well. That one does as well. Do they all get it? That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one does. So that one does. These don't. So what I've done is I've sort of flicked the units around. Let's have a bit of a look at the actual different units themselves, because this I do want to sort of show off what this DLC does bring. And as I say, the DLC itself is fantastic. And the mechanics in the game are fantastic. It's just the implementation of this procedure generated campaign I just find a little bit, like it's just left me a bit flat, to be honest. So we've got things, for example, like the Lich Guards. These are protective forces. They've got the way that I'll just go through the mechanics without going through too much detail as to what things actually have. You've got your basic sort of representation of the different units back over this side. You also have different types of units that it shows over through here. We've got 3 HQ units. We've got 5 elite units, and the Lich Guards are part of these, and we also have death marks in this as well. So they're considered our elite units. We've got 1 heavy support unit, which is the Annihilation Barge, which we'll talk about in just a minute. We've got fast attacks, where we've got the Triac Praetorium, which we just bought, and the Tomb Blades. And so these are considered like fast attack units, and then we actually have the warrior units along with the Immortals and the flayed ones. So we've got like 8 of those. So we've got like a lot of different sorts of units. But these elite units, these big guys in here, can really soak up the damage. Like, these are incredibly strong, and so I've loved having these towards the front line of our actual attack, and they come in with 80 hit points in through this side, of health points down this way. You can see there we've got evasion. This is actually how easy it is for units to evade away from fighting. Now, I'm finding the evasion a little bit OP, to be honest, in the game. I'm finding it very difficult. Anything with any sort of evasion tends to just get away without any real negatives, like if they're trying to extract themselves from a fight. This is the armor. Now we've got the reduces the damage taken from enemy attacks. The effectiveness of armor is decreased by a weapon's armor piercing, and you'll see it's got armor exclamation mark. It's got the melee armor is 7. It's normally a 7, but we're getting the extra 8 because we're near that other commander. So we're near the Overlord. Then we also have the movement points, so the number of tiles this unit can move. Advancing additional tiles cost action points. Now, it's got 1 action point, so you typically move with the movement points and then use an action point to do an attack or something like that, but you can use it for movement. Now, the way the Necrons work, we'll have a quick look at what all of these different things are down through here. Dynasty of the Living Metal. This unit gains momentum at the end of its turn if it has moved away from its starting position. So we get +5 momentum after moving 3 tiles and plus 0.5% hit points per momentum. So we actually get back a little bit of hit points if we've got momentum. And so this is actually really, really important. If we have injured units, we want to get momentum up, but it means that playing as the Necrons, and all the Necrons have this Dynasty of the Living Metal, we have to use up all of our movement points and our action points to get the momentum. Now, the momentum is in here. So at the moment, we've got 0. When momentum reaches 100, this unit will surge. And when we get a surge, it sort of means that you get like extra attacks and all sorts of wonderful things like that. We'll see the enemy do that. I find it really hard to get to momentum playing as a Necrons. Is that a complaint? No, it's not. It's just that I'm not very good at the game, and so I'm just not really looking at momentum much. I'm finding that if I look at momentum, I have my units run all over the place, and then they get isolated and get killed. So I've sort of, with my lack of skill, I'm finding that I'm finding it's better for me not to focus too much on momentum. But that's how the Necrons get their momentum. Each other faction gets momentum a different way. For example, the Sisters of... No, they're not the Sisters of Sigmar. They're the Adeptus Sororitas. The Adeptus Sororitas get their momentum by being hit, by taking damage. So the more damage we do to them, the more they're going to then get their momentum. And they have different sorts of benefits. But for us, this ties in with how we get our health. The next thing we also have is reanimation protocols. So when we lose a unit, and this is all of the Necrons, by the way, when we lose a unit, it gives a 50% chance to revive up to 2 models from this unit with 50% health once per turn. So if we take damage and, say, 3 units die, there's a 50% chance that either 1 or 2 units will then just be resurrected at 50%, at 40 hit points, essentially was the way that they would then come through. We also then have veterancy. These guys have been in the army for a long period, so they're veterans. They have +1 accuracy and +1 critical chance. They've got dispersion shields, so this is why these guys are just so damn good. We have -10% damage received and +1 armor. Those dispersion shields really, really help a lot with keeping these things alive in battle. And then we have army cohesion. So they've got plus 25% momentum gains with having this one in through here. Now, I don't know if that means that they just have to be next to things. I'm not sure exactly where this one kicks in, to be honest. Down through here is the orders. So we've got move, we've got change facing. Facing is very important in the game. Again, the mechanics are brilliant. They are really, really cool mechanics. And so I hope if you are looking at this game with a view to maybe play multiplayer or something like that I do a good enough job of exciting you with what it does actually bring, because it looks exceptional, it plays exceptionally, the game mechanics are really, really good. Over through here we have the hyperphase sword and dispersion shield. This is actually its main way of sort of then working. Its range is melee, base damage is 16 to 22. It's got armor piercing of 6, which can be important, and it's got like a base accuracy of 91, weapon 91, and the cost is just is the one action point that we actually do have. So if we did go up to 100 of the momentum, we'd probably then get like an extra action point, which means that we then have like 2 shots with this sort of thing. But these are the units that I want to be soaking up the damage with. So and then we've got another one over here, Guardian Protocols. I haven't been able to get this to work, and I don't know why. This one swaps places with the HQ unit when they're attacked, provided the HQ command unit is within 3 tiles of the Lich Guard. The Lich Guard will then take all damage intended for the HQ command unit. So I'm assuming what I was trying to do was actually have it in behind the HQs. There's like an HQ unit in through here. And then if this gets attacked, I thought this was supposed to then swap position with it. But it didn't seem to work out that way. So I'm not sure why. Not sure what I was doing wrong. I'm assuming it's me rather than the game. Anyway, that's sort of where we are. And so the Lich Guards are fantastic. Let's have a bit of a look at the other sorts of units. We've got a commander in through this side. The commanders have got like a lot of things. I won't talk so much about these until we actually get into the fight. Again, this one does actually have the protocols of passing season. So I want this one to be fairly central. This is our Overlord. This is our most important unit. These have got like a lot of hit points, but it can very quickly drain away. So I don't want to have them sort of too close to the actual action. Then we've got another of the Lich Guards in through there. Back over here, we've got an interesting unit. This is the Death Marks, and these use a synaptic disintegrator, and the range is from 1 to 8, with the optimal range being 6. These guys are our snipers. They've got armor piercing of 6. They do a great job, particularly against large units. They really excel. These are also the other elite unit. If we come back across into here again, we've now got the Triarch Praetorians. You can see there they've got a movement of 5, so they've got extra movement than the others. They've got good armor. Actually, this one here doesn't have great armor. It's only got 5. 5 melee armor, 6 at range because it's near the commander. This one's 6 and 7 because of being near the commander. And so this one has got like this one moves quickly. It's got a Rod of the Covenant, so range 1 to 3, optimal is 2. The base damage is 12 to 16, but only armor piercing of 4, so it's not great with the armor piercing. We've got a Rod of Covenant in through here. We're using it as a melee weapon, so we can either use it as ranged or as melee, and it does 19 to 26 with armor piercing 5. So it does a better job in close range using it as a melee weapon. And then we've also got the gravity displacement pack, so ignores movement penalties from terrain and plus 4 movement. So it's got a cooldown of 2, so we can sort of make good use of that one if we wanted to. Back over here, we've got the these are the Immortals. Now, you can swap the weaponry around, and what I've put on these guys is a Tesla carbine. And so these have got a range of 1 to 5 with an optimal range of 4. The base damage is 9 to 12. Splash damage is the important thing with this one. So it does 2 to 3 splash damage. And it's also then got, and it's the splash damage against neighbouring units is what I want these for. So they're sort of going in with those. We've got another Lich Guard at the back there. More of these, the Immortals. So I've kept all of these close together just so we can sort of do the range. There's another sniper unit, another commander unit back in through there, a Hexmark Destroyer. Back over this side, we've got our basic sort of melee fighters. These are the flayed ones. These are quite interesting. They've got a, you can see there that these aren't getting the benefit. They're too far away from the commander to actually pick up the benefit of the commander. So we don't get that one. We still have the Dynasty of Living Metal. We still have the reanimation protocols and the army cohesion as well. This one has got like a dimensional translocation, which allows it to use its action point to get in and sort of almost like warp in behind other units. And so that can be quite valuable depending on what the map is sort of presenting. And you'll see why I'm disappointed in the maps, because this is the sort of stuff that we should be sort of being able to exercise based on what the map is presenting us. But at the moment, the maps are really, really boring. It's the actual generation of the map is almost like, okay, let's just get some random stuff and randomly place it around the actual map, and we won't worry about choke points, we won't worry about special features, we won't worry about any sort of advantages. There's even some features where they look like they should give an advantage, but when you go on, it's actually a disadvantage because they block everything off. So it really hasn't been fleshed out, the actual map, but we'll see that in just a minute. We also then have the basic warriors bend the back through this side. These guys have got a range of only 1 to 6 with an optimal range of 3. And I've put all of my melee fighters over here, and I've put my big, these guys move at 4 with armor of 7. This is the Annihilation Barge. This is sort of like fairly high up. This is this one heavy support back in through this side. It's got the Tesla cannon, which also does splash damage, and it's got the twin Tesla destructor. So optimal 5. That one's optimal 4. Yep, that one does base damage is 4 to 6. Yeah, that one does 7 to 10. That's armor piercing 2. Why would we use that? Trying to think of why we would possibly ever bother using that other one. I can't say, only for the extra range. That would be the only reason would be the range. And then we finally have the Tomb Blades over through here, and there's still other units that I haven't even got in the actual mix itself. I've still got flayed ones at the back there. And so the Tomb Blades have got like a particle beamer. These are range 1 to 4, and these can sort of cross terrain. Again, the actual mix of forces makes it seem like it should be really interesting with the maps, but the maps are so boring. You don't really get much of a chance to make use of what these things are good at. And these are great at coming in behind the enemy troops. Anyway, let's just move back around, and you can see the modelling is just beautiful. Like it's an incredibly good looking game. So anyway, I'm out of time with this episode already. I will have to make this into a multi-series event, I guess, in the sense of what we're actually doing through here. But anyway, at least you've sort of seen the Necrons. I'll show you, like you saw there, the terrain when we sort of started was going to be these tents. Here's the tents in through here. And yes, is it procedurally generated? Yes, you can tick the box that yes it is, because these items are all randomly placed. You don't know exactly where they're going to go. But does it matter? Is there anything about the terrain that's really going to have any great strategic sort of advantage or anything we should be looking at? No, there's not. It's just literally, let's randomly place some models on a big flat terrain. And that's all of the maps that I've seen so far. That's what they are. They're really, really pedestrian in the way that the procedural generation has been done for these battle maps. I'm really disappointed with this, to be honest. As somebody who loves procedural generation in games, it's just like it could have been so much better. Well, it still can be so much better. So I'm hoping that this is just literally not even step 1. This is step 0.3. Before we even get to step 1 of what I hope will be a long and glorious sort of addition to this game, because procedural generation for this sort of game, particularly if they bring in more different types of units, is going to be, it's just so important. Anyway, look, I'll leave this episode here. So thanks for watching if you have watched to the end of it. I hope I haven't been too negative. I hope I've been fair. But this for me is disappointing when I sort of see just such a pedestrian way of handling map generation in a modern game. This is very, it's just random placement on a flat surface. All it does is just give us areas to hide behind. There's nothing interesting about this. So many other games don't do this. Like, they at least have something, particularly because we're actually going up against some sort of special resource. Why isn't there some special thing that the defenders get to sort of get an advantage with? Why isn't there an objective for us to then go after that special thing, whatever that might be? There's just so many different ways that this could have been improved without going without making it super complex, just more interesting. Anyway, I'll leave this episode here. I'll come back with episode 2, where we then start to sort of look at a bit of combat, and then probably 2 episodes will probably sort of cover it. I think I'll try to get like a victory, just so you can sort of see what goes on, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.